Normally I'd show you my foot placement from my point of view, but this is such a weird position to be in. I've had to put the camera on a tripod above me. It's the only way I can do this. You're going to start in a heel side rail, and you want basically to have all your weight on just the foot that's going to be underneath the Casper. It doesn't matter which end you do this on. There is no real right or wrong. There is no real switch here. Just bear in mind that whichever leg you start on, that's the one that's going to end up underneath the board. The other foot then has to cross round and get onto the nose or tail. So you're in this position. The foot that's going to be on top of the tail wants to be pointing directly at the other foot. That makes it a very difficult position to balance in for any length of time. It's going to feel uncomfortable. But once you're in position, it's very easy to get it to flip to Casper. Here's what this position looks like from in front. I'm going to swap all my weight to my left leg because this is the one that I want under the Casper. Then I'm going to cross my right leg round the back and I'm going to put it on the nose so it's pointing back at that foot. As soon as I put any weight on that right foot, the board's going to rock. So I have to keep my weight on my left leg until I'm ready for the flip. Once you're in position, the mechanics of the trick are both really simple and really awkward. The foot that's on the wheel is basically just going to stay there. All your weight is going to be on that foot. The other one, the one that's around the back and on the nose or tail, that's going to start pressing down and forward. And that's going to start lifting the other end and tipping the board. Once it gets to a certain point, you've got to jump clear. And this foot's just going to give it one more last push. And that will start it rolling end over end. And it will swing round. At this point, you've got to swing your legs in and catch it for the Casper. And it feels a lot like a nose Casper to Casper, which hopefully by this point you've already learned, because that'll give you the practice for the Casper catch. If I put that motion into practice, by pushing that foot down and forward, you'll see the board just falls. It just wants to go. So the key is to hop just slightly before that moment. And as I do that, knock this back foot down and forwards that little bit more, give it an additional little flick. Hopefully the board will start rolling around towards a Casper. The key at that point is making sure that as the boards come round, this foot that I was standing on has extended outwards. Not only that, but it needs to be low enough that the board can fall onto it. The biggest problem that I always have with this trick is having that front foot too high to let it sit on a Casper. If it's too high, the board will bounce off it and you're not going to catch it in a solid position. Much like with a nose Casper to Casper, once you've got the flip right and the front foot in the right position, the back foot should, in theory, land on the underside of the nose without much effort at all. The reason for this is quite simple. As the back foot pushes this end of the board round, the board will roll around that point. Now that means that the back foot has started here and the nose has rolled around that exact same point and will land more or less where it started, which means the back foot only has to go straight up and straight back down. You don't even really need to spot the landing. As long as the front foot is in the right place to stop the board bouncing away, the back foot just has to land more or less where it started. Because of the way this trick flips end over end into the Casper, you're probably going to catch it more vertically than you'd like a lot of the time. Now if that happens, if you're all the way up here, your foot's going to slide off. Now this isn't really acceptable, like the majority of the foot on the floor. If it's a little bit lower and it's just the side of your foot resting on the floor, that you can kind of get away with. You can minimise the chance of both by putting some grip tape on the underside of your nose and tail. Skid plates will also help because they'll give you another little edge for you to stand on. But the one thing you want to avoid is letting it drop the whole way round. If you're here, front foot on the floor, this isn't a Casper. This is like doing a wheelie or a manual with your tail scraping on the floor. The point is to catch it in a balanced position and then flip out. Even if you think, oh, I can do it with my front foot on the floor for a bit, that'll teach me the motions. It doesn't. It's only going to get you into bad habits that you're going to struggle to break later on. Focus on getting a clean, balanced catch, even if, to begin with, you're too vertical and the back foot's coming off. That is much better than the alternative. If you've been trying this for a while and you're still struggling to get the flip, there are two things you can do. The first one is change the angle of your feet. So when I first learned this, I had both feet more or less pointing in the same direction. Now this actually feels more awkward, but that's how I thought it worked. It was only later I realized that the more severe that kind of weird right angle is, the more predictable the flip was. Now the second thing is if you're pressing it down and it feels just like it's rolling through a flip, give it more of a nudge. You should feel like a proper flick with that foot. You'll know what it feels like after you've done like, say, 10 or 20 of these. You'll feel the difference. And that little flick will help it snap through the trick much easier. This is a really fast, snappy trick. It's a very quick motion. And to me, this is a really good example of how to use a trick in the best possible way. What I mean by that is don't wait around. You've got this fast, quick motion, so get out of it quickly. There is nothing worse than seeing this sort of trick and then people are trying to force it into something else. You know, it's spun around super fast, you've caught it, get out quickly. Don't then ruin that kind of fast, exciting motion by doing while you're trying to get your feet in position for another trick. Catch it, get out, move on. Make it nice and snappy. The less you hang around with this trick, the more exciting it's going to look.